So our next speaker is Tim O'Neill, sorry here. Tim co-founded a successful digital agency in 1997, back when digital agencies were a brand new thing. After 18 years, he grew to be one of the largest privately owned digital agencies in Australia, was acquired by Accenture Interactive. After the acquisition, Tim worked as a managing director at Accenture Interactive for 3 years. Then, curiously, he then started another business, an online automotive startup called Summon. And in early 2023, he co-founded Time and Attention. I see your stuff all of the time on LinkedIn, it's amazing. An agency that's focused 100% on generative AI, who are helping businesses to understand the potential of this fast-changing technology. So over to Tim. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Funny story about WorldCoin, actually. I have two co-founders in this business, Time and Attention. One of them, Jason, he flew to San Francisco about a month ago for 2 days to get his eye scanned to claim his WorldCoin. So he's right into it. My presentation, I'm going to definitely be going more your System 1 brains than your System 2. There's a lot of content that I'd love to cover, and I'm going to go really quickly. And then I encourage you that, over the next couple of days and the coffee breaks, engage System 2 and think deeply about the ideas that I'm going to show you about how you can use generative AI in your business, how you might do that, and then don't stop there, actually go and put them into practice. This is a quote from Bill Gates, who, rather than me telling you how great generative AI is and how much it's going to change the world, this is a quote from him when he first saw, this was a preview version of ChatGPT, the new version, 3.5 at the time, and he was just so blown away. He said, I think this is going to be one of the most fundamental technology changes in the last 4 decades, right up there with the birth of the computer, graphical user interface, and the internet. There's some more, an article I actually just read this morning from Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, putting it right up there with electricity. I'm just going to maybe pause and explain what I mean by generative AI, or what that term we use in the industry is, and how it differs from traditional AI and normal AI that everyone knows and uses every day. So generative AI really started with the birth of ChatGPT, at least in public domain, public opinion, and that was nearly exactly 2 years ago. Traditional AI and machine learning has been around for decades. Every bit of software you use on your phone, every bit of software you use on your computer is using traditional AI and machine learning to crunch big pools of data and do something with it. Quite often it'll be a prediction about what might happen next. Generative AI is different. Generative AI, sure, it does use machine learning and fundamentals and data, but it's pre-trained. It's already done that so that you can do something with it to create or to generate something new. And I'm going to give you a lot of examples of the kinds of things that you can generate with generative AI, and more importantly, how that applies to your business. So when we're talking to our clients, we like to simplify it into 2 buckets: customer experience and employee experience. So starting out with some examples of ways that you can use generative AI to enhance a customer experience. And this is sort of really pretty sort of grassroots stuff, and I'd be very surprised if anybody in the room hasn't already used ChatGPT, at least in person, for something, writing a birthday card or writing a poem or mucking around. Everyone here would have probably experimented with it. And you can also use it within your business. And this is, there are a lot of ways that you can use it. I'll cover some others, but probably the most basic is just doing content generation. In this example, I'm going to prompt ChatGPT, give it a bit of grounding and say what I want it to do. And in this case, it's just writing some content about generative AI at the Forge. And then with a simple text prompt, I can ask it to add emojis. And this is not sped up, this is all real time, and you can see I get a pretty amazing first draft for a LinkedIn post or a blog post or a news article in about 5 seconds. So that's the really most basic use of ChatGPT or other tools like that, is content generation. Has anybody here experimented with image generation either in ChatGPT or any other tools? Can I have a show of hands? There's like a real hotspot here in the middle of the room. So image generation works, technically it's quite different, but from a user experience point of view, it's quite similar in that there are tools. In this case, it's an app called Midjourney, which is kind of like ChatGPT, but for images. So I can type in a prompt and describe the image that I want and the style that I want, so the subject and the style and the scene. And then over the course of about 45 seconds, it will draw for me 4 different images. And this is not stock photos. It's not going and searching the internet and finding pictures of robots and forges. It is literally creating these out of thin air using generative AI. So after 45 seconds, I've got 4 images, and this is the one that I like the most. A really good, high quality, image which, if you rewind a year and a half or 2 years ago, to go, from my brain to that image was maybe a month's worth of work and $10,000. Like, I don't even know. You'd have to hire a 3D artist to draw that image, render that image, or an illustrator. And now I can do that in 45 seconds. If I'm not happy with it, change the prompt, hit go. If I want to remix it and edit it, I can do that in other tools. So it's a really powerful thing in lots of different areas of business, but predominantly in customer experience and marketing. Just going on, and I think this is the last marketing example, because I'm aware not a lot of people in the room are marketing, is a product that we have built called Peak, and this actually compiles, we've built 30 different, I'll hit go, 30 different marketing tasks that people do on a regular basis, and pre-built skills that allow you to get those from your brain or a draft bit of paper out into the world in really rapid fire and really in record time. So in this case, it's a skill that's asking me to, or helping me to come up with blog post ideas. So it's not writing the blog post, it's just coming up with ideas, and I can give it a theme, give it a URL. So I gave it the Forge Summit, the agenda for today, and it's gone and read that web page. It's worked out what are the themes, what are the speakers talking about, how did that relate to generative AI, and then it's come up with 5 blog post ideas, and it's also done that. So it's done 2 versions, an online research and an offline research. So the first example I gave was going, maybe I had them around the wrong way, was showing how you can just go from an idea for a blog post or an article to reality in ChatGPT really quickly. This is doing a more advanced version where it's also going and looking at the internet and bringing back content from external sources, and then combining that into the outcome that I'm after. This has audio, so hopefully at the back of the room this audio will come through in the feed. We'll see. He's giving me a thumbs up, or he's pointing somewhere. I can't quite tell. He's pointing over here. So we'll see. This is an example of how you can use generative AI for customer service, and in particular for voice. And voice is really interesting. So I've shown a few different modes. I've shown text input and output. I've shown image, text input, and an image output. What you can also do now, and this is kind of getting really good in the last few months, is use a text input and using the brain behind something like ChatGPT. So the brain is a large language model, and that's the bit that you can chat to ChatGPT with. You can use that and have voice as the input and the output. So you're speaking to like ChatGPT, if you like, but it's not ChatGPT off the shelf. It's a version of ChatGPT that is trained with your voice data, your PBX, your conversational flows, so that you can have a robot take the place of, or take a customer call. So I hopefully we have, just listen to it.
Welcome to Cognigy Clinic. How may I help you?
Hey, I'm calling to make an appointment.
Not a problem at all. Are you an existing patient with us?
Sorry, is this the downtown or the Harborside Clinic? I'm not sure I called the right number.
This is the downtown clinic. Are you an existing patient with us?
Hey, are you a real person?
No, I am a voice bot. I am here to help you make an appointment. May I have your first and last name?
Okay, I'll pause there. You get the idea. We're actually doing a project with a construction company in Queensland at the moment using voice agents as they'll be answering the phone and doing the first line of inquiry and then routing the call. So a really simple use case, quite narrow. A process like this is way more complicated and obviously opens up a lot more kind of potential challenges. But this is definitely something that can be done here and now. Here's another example of, it's kind of deepfakes, except it's something that I did did purposely, so I'm not sure if that's still called a deepfake. But this is using a trained model. There's a little bit of feedback coming through. Can you maybe turn the audio down at the back? I've got audio on the side as well. Not sure if it's coming from here. This is using machine vision to train an AI model on my likeness. So I uploaded a video of myself talking.
Something
and
that's
then
really interesting
translating
to me
that into other
is the
languages.
metaphor of generative AI as Lego building blocks. And I wrote a short article about this, but I just wanted to explain it here with this video. Immagina gli strumenti e le cose viste con l'IA generativa come mattoncini che puoi smontare e combinare in modi unici. Quindi ADSP ChatGPT è un modello di lingua. Inserisci. Ce qui est vraiment intéressant pour moi en ce moment, c'est la métaphore de l'IA générative.
Things. It's combining the vision to actually translate and lip sync my voice with the translation. It's translating from the words, and it's also translating the voice into a voice model that kind of sounds pretty much like me, but speaking French, and I don't speak French or Italian, sadly. So that's a few examples of customer experience, and what I encourage you to do as I move into sort of a bit of a description about large language models is think about each of these as Lego blocks, like translation or image creation or text creation or summarization, and you can assemble these Lego blocks in different ways to build custom applications, and I'll come back to that in a minute. So large language models, this is the brain behind ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is the most famous and probably the best all-rounder AI chatbot system, but there are many others, and we created this to sort of demonstrate how the different language models have strengths and weaknesses and also different personalities. If you have a chat with Claude or Gemini, it actually has a different tone of voice and feels different than chatting to ChatGPT. And they also have some technical differences that are quite fundamental. So Gemini, for example, which is Google's large language model, has a huge, absolutely massive context window. And the context window is basically like a memory for the large language model. So it allows you, in the case of Gemini, you could upload every single of the Harry Potter books all in one go and ask questions about those books, whereas ChatGPT is probably about one book. So if you're finding that a task that you're experimenting with in ChatGPT maybe not getting the best results, then for me personally, I also always like trying Claude, which is from Anthropic, and Google Gemini. And as I said, they work slightly differently. Fundamentally, they're using the same sort of technology, but they have different strengths and weaknesses, and they're worth experimenting with. A few kind of superpowers of these AI chatbots and large language models that this is one that people probably have already tried, a lot of people in the room, and the language models are really, really, really great at this, is summarizing big documents. This is an actually real-world example from a couple of weeks ago. 2 houses down from us have a town planning application to renovate their house, and my wife was wondering, how big is this new house going to be? And the town planning submission is available on the internet, so I just went and downloaded the document, and it's about 80 pages. I'm like, I don't really want to read 80 pages to find out what the square meterage of this house will be. I just uploaded it into Claude, just asked it a question, it read the document for me, worked it all out, and then just gave me the answer. So it's really easy to imagine the use cases within your business of summarizing large documents and doing that, and then doing something with the results. Another one which is even lesser known than document summarization, document summarization is probably reasonably well known, is in ChatGPT and also some of the other large language models, but not all, you can upload an image and using machine vision, ask questions about that image. In this case, this is the same house, 2 doors down. I took a photo, actually this is just a Google Street View photo of the house, and I asked it if it can see if there's a driveway or a garage in this front of this house. So as a human, obviously I can look at it very easily and do that. But if you want to scale this up and build it into a process or a workflow within your business, it's now really, really easily accessible. So you've got the power, the conversational nature of ChatGPT and the brains, but you've also got the ability for it to see and look at images and do something with it. Another superpower, and this one is actually reasonably unique to ChatGPT, or at least ChatGPT does it best, is advanced data analysis. And sometimes it's called code interpreter, it's the same thing. What advanced data analysis allows you to do is upload a CSV file or a spreadsheet, any sort of well-known data document sort of format, and then just in the same way that you would create content or ask questions from ChatGPT, you can chat with the data. So you can ask questions about the data, you can ask for an average, you can ask for a trend, you can ask it for insights. So you're not just asking it to pull numbers out, you can actually ask for it to analyze and think about the data that's in that spreadsheet that I've uploaded and then do something with it. You can also ask it to do charting and graphing. So if you're like me and you're pretty rubbish in Google Sheets or Excel and doing your own charts takes a lot of time, it's a really, really great way to kind of get up and going and running and prototype like some charting really, really quickly and then iterate on it. In the same way that I iterated on the add emojis in that first example with ChatGPT, you're probably not going to add emojis into your spreadsheet, but into your charts, but you can say, okay, that's good, but I want to add a trend line, or I want the colors in the chart to be different, or I want a different x-axis, whatever it might be. You can just use natural language, type it in, ChatGPT will do it for you. So I've spoken about customer experience and also given a bit of background on large language models and some of the things that you can do with it that maybe you didn't know already. So now moving on to employee experience and in particular productivity and the potential gains within your teams and your businesses that can be had by using generative AI in all its forms. This was a really great piece of research that I like from Boston Consulting Group and Harvard Business Review. And they got together a cohort of, I think it was about 800 consultants from BCG, put them into 3 groups and gave them 18 tasks, that normal kind of knowledge worker kind of tasks, and asked them to all complete these tasks, and they measured how fast they did them and also how well they did them. And the cohorts were, one cohort was given generative AI tools like ChatGPT, one cohort was not, and one cohort was given generative AI tools and also some training and education in those tools. And what they found, just the top line summary, was the cohort that used generative AI tools were 25.1% faster than the cohort that didn't, and also that the accuracy was higher, so they did a better job and much faster. This is pretty consistent with the work that we do. What we see with our clients is with some fundamental education and training, you can take a task and be way more efficient at it using generative AI. But not every task, like some tasks, there'll be no difference. Some tasks might even be slower, but some are just, you can turbocharge that particular task, and if someone's doing that on a regular basis, you can really unlock huge productivity gains within the business. A few things that are kind of low-hanging fruit. One is transcription, and rewind sort of 6 months ago, 12 months ago, the best way to do this was with off-the-shelf tools that sit over the top and you invite them into your call. So Fireflies is one of those. Everyone here would have been on Zoom calls or Teams meets and someone invites their AI chatbot. When I have them with a friend of mine, a colleague in the US, he invites 2. I don't really know why, but he's always got 2 chatbots. Once he sent us 2 chatbots, he didn't even turn up, but that was okay. And now almost all of the video conferencing tools like Teams and Zoom and Google have built these tools natively into their applications. It's kind of still a bit like hit and miss about like what plan you're on, do you have access to it, what you can do with it, things like that. Personally, I really like Fireflies because it gives you the recording and then the transcript, which is the text version of the recording. And then you can build these little apps, which is what I'm demonstrating here on screen. And the app can be, I always want you to take the transcript and put it into this particular format that I like. So if you're a financial advisor, which I'm not, but if you were, you can have it do a file note. Or if you're a doctor, you can have it do your particular format of transcript. So you can build this and have it automatically, the language model automatically takes the text and puts it into the format that you need to be more efficient in your day. This is a project that we built for a large Australian retailer around compliance, and this is actually something that comes up quite a lot. We've got another client we're doing a similar project for, and again, I mentioned before the Lego blocks that you can use machine vision and text and language models. In this case, we're doing it to run a compliance check across their product information. The problem they had is they have a massive, massive range of products. The product information comes from third-party suppliers, and there's a lot of content that's been in their product information management system for 3, 4, 5 years, and very much a mixed match of compliance and against Australian standards. So we're running a check across the text, and we're also doing checks across images. So this is super interesting and worked way better than we were expecting, to be honest, that we're asking it to check the images against the SID Safe Sleeping guidelines to say, does this image conform, or is this baby sleeping in a cot with a toy, for example, which is not allowed? And this retailer would get in a whole world of trouble if a supplier provides an image of a baby wearing a hat with a teddy bear and they put that on their website. They are going to absolutely be in a world of pain. So we're using machine vision to capture that before the images end up on the website. This is another example of using those Lego blocks to provide a productivity tool for an area of the business. In this case, it's a client who has a really, really high volume of proposal writing and RFPs. They're an acoustic engineering firm, and they do about 1,000 RFP responses a year. It was a very, very manual process, but I showed you summarization of documents before. That's exactly what we're doing, but we've automated that process. So they take an RFP, the input, the request from the client, drop it into a Dropbox folder, we process it and summarize that document, use a large language model to go, right, here's the one page, here's all the information that you actually need to respond to this tender. And that then goes into an automation process through their CRM to automatically write a first draft of a proposal. So the process that was taking them half a day to a day just to get to a first draft of every RFP now takes about 30 seconds to get to that good first draft. Last example before I move on to where I think things are going in the future. This is a project that we've built for Queensland Rail around their safety and engineering documentation. So the problem that they had was they have a pretty outdated system for maintaining and managing and access to a large range of these documents. So there's about 8,000 safety and environmental management systems, policies and guides and documents. And if they have teams of people working on, like at the tunnel project up in Brisbane, trying to design new, environments, etc., for the tunnel, and getting access to the answers or the documents that had the answers was really difficult. So we built what is basically like a ChatGPT for asking questions that they need the answer to, and just providing them the answer, and then in context showing this is the answer, this is where that answer came from, here's a link through to that exact little bit of this guide or this standard or this policy that you need to know. Again, it's an example of the document summarization powers of a large language model, but combined with a few other sort of tricks to combine all kind of the best bits of generative AI into just solving that one problem that they have. And this is just absolutely unlocked productivity within a big team of people who are doing this task on a day-to-day basis. So moving into where I think the future is, there's a couple of points here. One is, and this is nearly kind of now, kind of soon, it's very, very early days, and this is AI agents, which is a really confusing term, and people use it to explain it to mean different things. But if you look at Salesforce just announced released their agents platform about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Microsoft did the same. And it's quite funny, Microsoft and Salesforce are really kind of fighting each other in this sort of battleground of the future, which is AI agents. And the way I'd describe an agent in summary is, if you ask ChatGPT to do a task, it can't do a task for you. It can explain how you would do it, like how do I upload this, download a list of customer data from HubSpot. ChatGPT will actually just describe how you do that. It can't do it for you. Or let's say that example with Salesforce would be a better example. Whereas the new Salesforce agents will work out what the task list is and then actually go and do those tasks for you. And that might be things within its control, like going and looking in the database and pulling out customer records. But it might also be things that are external. Let's say you want to automate an outreach to them using a third-party system, and it will, if it has the right credentials, go and log into that other system and actually do that task for you as well. So there are B2B use cases like what I just described, and there are also going to be really interesting commercial use cases or B2C use cases, like I want to book a flight to Brisbane and accommodation, and I need a car. So, in the future, Qantas, through their app or through a travel intermediary, will allow me it will use AI agents to go, right, these are the 10 things I need to do, and it goes away and does them. Every now and then it'll come back and ask my opinion about whether I'm happy with this flight or that flight, and it will actually complete that task list for me. So like right now, that's pretty much science fiction, but it's really getting pretty close. One last example of where the future is going is multimodal. And multimodal it's not a great word, but it's the term that Google use and OpenAI use for the next generation of their AI chatbots. These are not in our pockets yet, but these will be in our pockets in the next few months, most likely. And the differences between what ChatGPT can do now is I can send it like a still photo. I can take a photo of this room and upload it. It's now using live video. I'm going to hit play on this video, and then hopefully we have some audio. I'll let this play for about 30 seconds.
Tell me when you see something that makes sound.
I see a speaker, which makes sound.
What is that part of the speaker called?
That is the tweeter. It produces high-frequency sounds.
Give me a creative alliteration about these.
Creative crayons color cheerfully. They certainly craft colorful creations.
So we're working with a construction company about a proof of concept for how they would use this on their building inspection. So when they do home repairs, they go to a house and they have someone walking around with an iPad and taking notes, taking photos, and then there's a big job at the end of the day to go and write up all those notes into a predefined format. The proof of concept will be using a machine vision model like this, but through video, walk around, record and talk over it, and then in the same way that I showed you, Fireflies can take a transcript, put that into a set format, taking the transcript and the video input and putting that into a predefined format, and basically shortcutting that whole report writing process. So again, an example of the Lego bricks. This Lego brick we don't have yet. This one, we're eagerly awaiting, but all these other Lego bricks are coming together to allow people like you within your businesses to build unique products and things that solve a pain point in your business and in unique ways. So, just in summary, this is a quote that I like. You may have heard this quote before, but it's worth repeating, that AI will not replace humans, but businesses that use AI will replace businesses that don't. There are absolutely enormous productivity benefits and also new opportunities for growth and new revenue channels using generative AI tools. And the way that I'd recommend that you get started is, number one, educate yourself on what's possible. So you've taken a good first step, hopefully, by paying attention to me today. And feel free to catch me, ask questions later, or catch me at one of the breaks if you have any others. So educate yourself on what's possible and expand your mindset. The second thing is, look at some low-hanging fruit within your business. What's a process that does a lot of document summarization, or where we need to write a lot of content, or creating RFPs, or writing reports, and pick one or two and get started with a proof of concept. Start small and demonstrate to yourselves and others in the business what can be done reasonably quickly, and then use that as a springboard to greater change. So with that, I thank you very much and open up to any questions. And if you're interested in the kind of content that I've been talking about, hopefully you are, and you might be interested in our email newsletter that we publish every couple of weeks with what we're seeing in the industry, what we think is interesting, and our opinion on it. So thank you very much.
We'll take one or two very quick questions, then we're going for break. But Tim is around, and later on we're actually be playing around with these tools. So both Simon and Courtney and Tim are going to bring all this together at the end of the day and do some, kind of show, not tell. So any very quick question? Has anyone got a question for Tim?
Hallucinations that AI sort of ends up with in the different... ChatGPT and AI is so broad that some I like, some I'm sceptical of.
Yeah, sure. So I'm not sure if that mic's on. Hallucinations is, for people who don't know what that means, if you go into ChatGPT and say, who won, if there was a footy game on the weekend, who won? It's pre-trained information finished about 8 months ago, so it doesn't know the answer, but it will make up the answer. It will have a really good shot at answering. The language models are terrible at saying, I don't know, and so you need to definitely be very conscious that you can get incorrect answers. The way that you correct for it, there are two ways. So number one is you train it on your company data. So that Rail GPT, the Queensland Rail case study, we've said, here's 4,000 documents, 8,000 documents. Only answer from those documents. Don't use any of your pre-trained knowledge. Just ignore everything you think you know. Just answer from this. So it's grounding it in truth. So that works. The other thing is for more just day-to-day stuff, ChatGPT last week released Search GPT. So it depends on the plan you're on, but I now in my app have Search GPT. So if I ask a question about what happened yesterday or last week, it'll switch to search mode. It'll search the internet first for the current stuff and then answer from that. So that actually greatly reduces hallucinations as well.
So one more question. Who had their hand up? Tully, did you have a question?
I was always half answered with that. But one thing that I'm seeing a lot of... yeah, thank you. It was almost half answered with the question that was just asked. But one thing I'm seeing a lot, we have an investment arm in our company, and we particularly specialise in early stage startups, mainly technology. We're seeing we've got a lot of people coming into our office at the moment with with their next big AI company. Right? And there's a lot of companies out there reinventing the wheel. Can you comment about some of the integration? So the 4 large language models, versus build your own, that kind of thing. Do you want to comment on how some of these products integrate with other platforms?
So how the products I showed integrate with other platforms?
Yeah.
So ChatGPT doesn't really integrate with anything. It kind of does. It's not entirely true, but for the most part, it doesn't. It's standalone. But the language model under the hood, which is GPT-4, is the most recent version, you can integrate that to any software just via an API. So that's most of what we do in our business, is building new applications using the same brain. And that's super easy to do. And so you get the power of ChatGPT in your application. Same with image generation. You can use an API and generate images in your application. Voice, all of these things are via API. So it's not really the customer-facing application that you're integrating, it's more the behind the scenes.